Hello, another episode of the Devils in God's Country. We've stepped up our showtime. 9 o'clock now. I'll be doing it. Um, Works good for Tony. Should work well for Allie once Allie's able to join us again. She's still out with some personal difficulties, so not gonna touch on that any more than just to let you guys know she's not gonna be here for uh, a while longer yet. Um, we all wish her the best, and I hope she gets back to the show soon. Um, but yeah, we're gonna be doing this at 9 o'clock. I got a new job, so I got to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So gonna do it a little earlier, but I don't want to leave everybody that does watch and enjoy the show hanging. So we're gonna be doing a little early. Shouldn't be a problem for anybody. Hey, 9 o'clock's not that late. Probably be better for most folks. So. Tonight's topic is why science trumps superstition and philosophy. And kind of weird for me to mention philosophy. For those of you that have read some of my blogs, books, know a little bit about me, I'm a big fan of philosophy. Love philosophy to death. Actually am in the process, long process of working towards a doctorate in philosophy. The thing is, though, science trumps philosophy. Okay, science trumps superstition. Trumps both of those things. Now, philosophy serves a purpose, serves a very good purpose. Superstition, on the other hand, doesn't serve any purpose at all. It's sort of a I'd almost like to say an innate reflex that we have that, when we don't know something, we don't understand something, we get a little scared about it, and we those bumps in the night turn into ghosts, and those weird noises we hear in the woods turn into Bigfoot, and those things happen, and those thought, well, that's God. That's God's territory. Science can't explain it, so God. And we deal with those people a lot, but the reality is superstition doesn't serve a purpose anymore. Once upon a time, it may have actually kept our species alive because we were superstitious, and so we avoided certain things, and that may have helped us progress back when we were just not intelligent enough to understand things, didn't have the ability to understand things scientifically and to gather evidence and data so that we could understand things more thoroughly. At this point in the human existence, superstition doesn't serve a purpose. It's no longer necessary, and that includes religion. I'm sorry to burst people's bubble, but religion relies on two things, and two things only, and that is superstition and philosophy. Now, one of those things serves a purpose. The other thing does not. The problem is you can get the one thing that actually serves a purpose with religion without religion. That's why I love philosophy. I deal with people all the time that tell me, hey, well, you believe in science, right? And I'm like, no, I don't believe in science. I accept that the evidence and factual data points towards this particular conclusion, and that is what science has offered me, and they have evidence and data and facts to back it up. I don't believe in it. I mean, it'd be like saying, well, you believe in cars, right? No, fucking cars exist. Okay, I don't have to believe in them. They exist. That's a real thing. I think it was John Oliver who was talking about all this dealing with people's beliefs when it comes to climate change. You don't argue about beliefs when it comes to facts. there's no conversation to be had there. Here's the facts. It doesn't matter what you fucking believe. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson's one of the people that's told us repeatedly, science doesn't give a shit what you believe. It doesn't fucking care. It's not going to change based on your fucking beliefs. It's not how it works. Now, people like Ken Ham would have you believe otherwise. He would tell you that, oh, we all have the same evidence, but these people, these evolutionists, they interpret it differently than than how we interpret it. No, no, you're ignoring factual data and favoring a personal opinion that agrees with your personal superstition. Whereas scientists are looking at factual information, factual data, given evidence, and saying, here's the conclusion that we have drawn based on the evidence as best that we can understand it. Okay, I accept that. I also accept that science doesn't know everything. I get that. If somebody asks me, well, what's the meaning of life? What's the purpose of living? Um, well, that's a philosophical question. It doesn't have a scientific answer, and it's a philosophical question because it's different from person to person. But for the most part, I think most of us on this planet would agree that the purposes of the purpose of our lives is the connections that we make, relationships, our friends, our family. Those are the things that give us purpose. Those are the things that make our lives meaningful. Even if your God could be proven to exist, if you didn't have those things, your life would probably just feel empty. Because your supposed personal relationship with God, I would challenge you. Go live as a hermit and see how far your personal relationship with God carries you emotionally as a human being. See how fulfilled you are without interpersonal relationships, without the human aspect of life as we know it, the human experience. So, when people ask, well, what's the purpose of life? Life is meaningless without God. No, life with their people. But I've got a family. I've got two little boys. I've got a wife. I have many, many friends. Those people, those other human beings, give my life purpose. They make it meaningful. So again, philosophy in that realm, it serves a purpose. But of course, from a philosophical standpoint, if I was to say, oh, I disagree with, homosexuality reasons, science trumps that. I'm still not obliged to be to fight against someone else's equality simply based on a philosophical viewpoint that says, oh, well, I don't agree with this. It doesn't jive well with me. So in that aspect, yes, science trumps philosophy. Definitely trumps superstition. Superstition, again, totally useless. I don't know, Tony. What do you think? I kind of sprung this topic on you tonight, so maybe you've had a chance to kind of think it over a little bit before we got here.
A little bit, but mainly because I usually don't. I've never been very interested in philosophy, especially when it comes to science. I'm the kind of guy who thinks that there is no, like, for me, philosophy is something in between. For me, I don't think it's in between. When it comes to reality, either something exists or it doesn't. And I think I recently did another video pretty much attacking Ray Comfort. For those of you who do not know who he is, just in case, he is a creationist who has his own YouTube channel. And he is the guy famous, he's the banana guy, who thinks that, holding a banana disproves evolution. And yeah, he's constantly saying, especially in public, especially when he's street preaching, that we atheists, we non-believers think that all of this came from nothing. And obviously that is silly, that's not what we believe. Because when it comes to that specific topic, I would say most, if not all atheists say, we don't know. And there's nothing wrong with saying we don't know. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But there's not much I can say on the topic of philosophy, because as I just said, it's not something I'm really into. Again, that's just my view of reality. I think either something exists or it doesn't. I don't think there's any in between.
So, I know that you've we've spoken before, and hopefully you don't mind me kind of addressing it to some degree. But you said you are sort of on a mild range of autism. So probably a bit interpersonal, more to yourself and introspective and drawn into yourself. But have you never really considered philosophy from an emotional standpoint, from a personal sort of uh, existential standpoint? You know?
Hmm. Uh, I don't know if this. I don't know if it actually counts as philosophy, but I've always been highly interested in reincarnation, actually. But that's probably the only philosophy I've ever actually somewhat studied.
Okay. Yeah. See, and it's a very unique. It's a very unique thing in our community, in the atheist community, because there are plenty of people like you who are very much naturalists. I guess we could say, or realists who are just like whatever has substance, and whatever doesn't just doesn't, and we leave it by the wayside. And then there's people like myself who really feel like the human experience is more than just the tactile, and our unique position, at least on this planet. I won't dare say the universe, because we may not be unique in the universe at all. There could be plenty of other intelligent life forms in the universe, so we may not be unique in that measure. But on this planet, we're pretty unique in the range of we have what feels like emotional needs. We have a well, I won't say all of us, but a lot of us have a real longing for meeting our emotional needs. We want to feel loved. We want to feel things towards other people. We want to experience, feelings, and we value those. So for me, that's where philosophy really comes in handy.
Hmm. Well, I think those needs I can get from just the love of my family. That's just me. But as far as philosophy goes, as I said, the only philosophy I've actually somewhat studied is reincarnation. I don't know why. It's just something I've always been highly interested in. Because believe it or not, I have personally talked to people who, what's the word I'm looking for? Like they claim to have that like deja vu feeling a lot. And I won't lie, I've had those feelings myself. Like, wait a minute, I've been in this situation before, but I knew at that time I hadn't been in my entire life. I mean, we all get those feelings of deja vu, so I guess if I were to believe in any philosophy, it definitely would be reincarnation. But it's not something I don't want to say I actually believe in it, but if I could pick a philosophy, it definitely have to be reincarnation.
Well, um, another arena where I've delved myself in dealing with the intersection of science and philosophy. Um, I wrote a very short book. It's probably maybe 150 pages. A very short book called "The Engineer's Argument: A Philosophical Argument Against Intelligent Design." And the reason I approach this topic from this position is because we have plenty of scientific arguments against intelligent design. In fact, the majority of scientific arguments out there dismiss intelligent design. The problem that we run into, though, is when you deal with people who, creationists and people like Kant Hovind and stuff, who want to use the cosmological, philosophical argument for intelligent design. A lot of us, we want to throw science at them and say, no, you're full of shit. That's just bullshit. Like, here's all the science. Like, that's just stupid. But the problem is when you approach people who are given to more emotional leanings, um, they're more susceptible and more open to philosophical arguments. So there actually is a good philosophical argument against intelligent design. And when you're dealing with people who come at you with philosophy and then you throw science back at them, by all rights, yes, you won the argument. You know, science, of course, trumps philosophy. But we have to understand also that you're not going to win a lot of people over with that line of reasoning, because most of the people that have been won over to an argument like intelligent design have been won over by the philosophy of it. And so you have to have some bearing in that field and approach. You know, it's sort of the idea of fighting fire with fire. Because when you approach people that come at their viewpoint from a philosophical standpoint, you need to approach them with a different philosophy. And you need to say, well, here's a philosophical argument that I can raise against what you're offering. Go ahead, Tony.
Alrighty, well, intelligent design. Here's the thing, I'm not good at science. I have a hairline understanding of biology, so I personally like to go that route myself. One of the things that I like to bring up is that for me, when you say somebody's intelligently designed, that means everything about the human body needs to have a purpose. At least that's what it says to me, maybe not to the intelligent design people. But obviously there's a problem with that, because at this point in our evolutionary stage, number one, believe it or not, we don't even need our pinky toe to stay on balance anymore. You could actually cut off your own pinky toe and your mobility would not be affected at all. There's also our appendix. We no longer need our appendix. In fact, most people forget what it's even for. I don't even know what it's even for. And I still have mine. And of course, the thing I always like to bring up is the blind spot in our eye. What's the purpose in that? What's the purpose in having a pinky toe at this point in our evolutionary stage? That's just stuff I bring up when it comes to the intelligent design people. At least when I've come across one, because I'm not really in the great debate community. I do hangouts and I make the occasional video. But, you know, when I come across them, that's what I like to bring up, because I can't really go into depth about the scientific part of it.
Well, so like back to my book a little bit. My book is based on the main premise that everything which is intelligently designed is designed for a purpose. Okay, there's a reasoning behind it. A lot of us, anyone that even has children, you'll see your kid playing with Legos or other blocks, right? And they build these crazy looking contraptions, and they don't mean anything, like they won't stand up or do anything, and you wonder, is that intelligent design? I mean, that's an intelligent being to some degree. It may not be as intelligent as a grown human being, but when my 3-year-old plays with blocks, he's trying to intelligently design something. And when he does that, he has a purpose behind what he designs. And whether that purpose is his own personal amusement or he builds something meaningful, regardless of what the purpose is, he has a reason for doing it. And so when we look at the universe and we look at our existence in the universe, and we say, okay, well, if the universe itself is designed by an intelligent being, it should have a purpose. Now, what's that purpose? And you ask 90% of intelligent design people, what is the purpose of this universe? If there's an intelligent designer behind it, what's the purpose of the design? And a lot of them, the great majority of them, are going to tell you that the purpose is to harbor and foster life. There's a problem with that. You don't even have to get out of our solar system to see the hugely immense problem with that idea. And the hugely immense problem is we have 9 planets in our solar system, 1 sun. Out of those 9 planets, only 1 harbors life. They are hostile as fuck to life in almost any fucking form at all. like very fucking hostile to life. The space in between our planets, extremely fucking hostile to life. Go outside of our atmosphere without a spacesuit or a spacecraft and see what happens to you. It's not going to be good. I promise you. You will not be living. That environment is not meant to harbor life. Unless you're a fucking tardigrade, and then you're a badass. Everybody give it up for the tardigrade. Awesome. So that's the beginning of the problem. When we say something is intelligently designed, there's a format for that. Now, I like to address it from an engineering standpoint, okay? And when an engineer designs something, okay, everything that we know of on this planet that we can say, ha, that is intelligently designed, it's been designed by human beings or by other animals on this planet. And I say other animals because other animals do intelligently design things, okay? Apes actually, sharpen sticks and use, makeshift tools to do things. Birds' nests, they build their own homes. Wasps, bees, building beehives. These are intelligently designed creations on this planet. And we know that the beings that made these things are to some degree intelligent. They may not be as intelligent as human beings, which is arguable because we don't really seem to be all that intelligent quite often. Look at all the people voting for Trump right now. But we can, we think of ourselves as the most intelligent beings on this planet. So when we look at a skyscraper or a building, a house, even an outhouse or a shed, we look at these buildings, we say, okay, that building has a purpose. It was built specifically and designed to accomplish a goal. It was built to do something. And the hand that put that together was intelligent. It came up, designing something, and it did so with a purpose, and it followed through with his actions to make their purpose a reality. One of the biggest fundamental ideas, what I like to call a key metric in engineering, is the idea of, oh my goodness, I just drew a blank real quick. I should have had my book here. Yeah, I should have had my book here in front of me. Oh no, one of the key metrics, probably the key metric in any feat of engineering or intelligent design by a human being, is efficiency. There's two types of efficiency that every engineer will look at, and that's efficiency of form and efficiency of function. Now, efficiency of form means that you use only as much materials as you need to accomplish the task. So that's the efficiency of form. You don't use more materials than you actually need to accomplish the task. Otherwise, it's lacking in efficiency. It's not efficient to build a home that costs $3 million, but 75% of that home isn't usable space. So it doesn't accomplish the fucking purpose. It doesn't accomplish the task. The other aspect is efficiency of function, which means if you use so much materials to do something, to accomplish a purpose, you should get as much out of that as far as it fulfilling its purpose as you put into it. So however much you use to actually build a home, you want the majority of that home to be usable space. That home is meant to serve the purpose of housing other people. And whatever space that can't actually house people and isn't integral to the actual structural design of the house, that's wasted materials, and therefore it's less efficient. So we come back to our universe and we say, okay, we're still not going to get out of even our own solar system. Now remember, once again, we have 9 planets in the solar system. Only one of those planets harbors life. If the purpose of an intelligent designer was to build a universe to harbor life, what would be the most efficient way to do that, to accomplish that task? So we have to ask ourselves, what do we need in order to have life in our own solar system? Well, first we need a sun because we're just not going to live without it. Second, we need terra firma, so we need the planet Earth, and it has to be, basically in the Goldilocks zone for our form of life to exist and thrive. And then we're also going to need the moon because the moon controls tidal aspects and seasons, and all of those things are sort of integral to growing crops and all the things that we need to sustain life here. So those are the only 3 things we need in the solar system to harbor and support life. We need a sun, planet Earth, and a moon. So what the fuck are the other 8 planets for? If you're telling me an intelligent being in another dimension designed all this, what the fuck did he design those other 8 planets for? That is wasted fucking materials. That is absolutely inefficient. And we're talking about an efficiency ratio of only about maybe 8% efficiency. That is absolutely horrible by the worst human standards. Okay, and we're talking about by the standards of a homeless person who lives under a bridge in a box. 8% efficiency is fucking abhorrent. That's like a guy saying, okay, I can live under this bridge in this box. Well, what kind of box is it? It's a fucking microwave box. Really? Are you a gnome? Like, don't you need a refrigerator box at the very least? Maybe a washer box, dryer box, something? Like, I don't see how the microwave box is really going to do you any good. That's the sort of inefficiency we're talking about. And so we deal with these ideas on a scientific level, and I point out all these scientifically known facts, about how many planets are in the solar system, the sun, the moon, what we need to actually support and sustain life. These are all scientific truths. But what it comes down to in the end, the argument is, from a philosophical standpoint, to say that this is an intelligent design is asinine, because it basically, you're saying that, okay, it was intelligently designed, and I'm asking you, was it intelligently designed by a 2-year-old? Because that's what you're telling me. It was designed by an idiot who is not even as intelligent as some of the stupidest people on this fucking planet. That's what you're telling me. But this is the almighty, God and creator out there. So from a philosophical standpoint, it's a wonderful argument, and it's a great way to engage with people who are like, no, like, cosmological argument, man. Like, what about the eyeball? Look how that couldn't possibly have evolved and all that bullshit. And like, dude, no, eyeballs are fucking terrible. The dude that's like, oh, eyeballs are proof that there's an intelligent designer. It's like, yeah, says the guy wearing fucking glasses. If our eyeballs were intelligently designed, they would see the entire spectrum of light, which about 60% of it is actually radioactive, radioactive light that is meant to kill us. Like, that's what it's trying to do. It's trying to kill us. When you go out and get a sunburn, that's the sun trying to fucking murder you. But you can't see that. You don't know about that until you go to the fucking doctor, and the doctor goes, hey man, you got skin cancer. You shouldn't have been outside so fucking much. Like, I had no idea. Like, yeah, you can't fucking see that. If we were intelligently designed, we could. There's plenty of animals that can. They can see all sorts of light spectrums. And they know, they're like, oh, fuck. Hey, there is a lot of fucking sunlight out here. Like, these ultraviolet rays are really heavy today. I'm going to stay under a fucking rock. Like, other animals can see it, but we can't. So you're telling me there's an intelligent designer who didn't want me to be able to protect myself from the universe that apparently is trying to kill me on a regular fucking basis. That doesn't sound very intelligent. I don't know. What do you think, Tony? You think that's a pretty good argument?
That is a good argument. And as far as the whole glasses thing go, I think last time I checked, I think the majority of people on Earth wear glasses, whether they be reading glasses or just glasses you have to wear every day. And fun little fact, I can't go into detail, but believe it or not, our eyes are very similar to that of fish. But another argument that I like to use, I'm sure you've heard it before, is called passing the buck. And I would, if I ever talk to Ray Comfort, I would love to ask him this. For those of you who don't know what passing the buck means, it means that a lot of creationists, individuals like Ray Comfort, they love to use the argument, well, if we're so complex, there must have been a creator. Well, again, as I'm sure our friendly host will know, there's a problem with that. If we're so complex, then the person who created us must have been even more complex. So who created God? Did another God create that God, or did another God create that God? And it just goes on. And of course, most of them will say, "Oh, well, everything imperfect needs a creator," which that doesn't make sense, because if you're going to apply that logic to us, you can't have a different standard for your God.
Oh yeah. Well, of course they can. Of course they get a different standard. You know, you always get to move the goalpost when you're fucking when your standard is immaterial, immeasurable, and supposedly exists outside of time and space. Like, of course you get to move the goalpost then. The goalpost can be wherever the fuck you want it when you say that you can't see what you're claiming is the ultimate, the penultimate standard is, something totally intangible. Like, that's not even a goalpost. That's like saying, okay, I need you to kick this field goal. All right, where's the goalpost? On fucking Jupiter. Good luck, fucker. Like, what? No, I can't do that. Like, no, I can't possibly reach that goal. And of course, that's their purpose. The moment that their God presents himself, I will believe in him. I may not worship him. I may not agree with him, but I'll believe in him. I'll be like, holy shit, that's God. Fuck, I guess there's a God.
And
now, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just to that, moving the goalpost thing, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, these are the same people who are constantly claiming that something can't come from nothing, but yet they believe that exact same thing when it comes to their God. And as far as me believing...
Yeah, God's just always been there. God,
right? And when it comes to God, I'm going to get specific here, because I say this all the time, and I do mean it. If the Christian God is real, or any God is real, especially any of the Abrahamic gods are real, these are three gods that don't even deserve my respect, let alone my worship.
No. It's one of the greatest arguments that I have to deal with when dealing with religious people is this notion that God is above reproach. And so when I address their God and I'm like, oh, so you're a Christian? I'm like, yes, I am. And you're like, oh, well, tell me about your God. And like, well, God is love. Like, have you read the Bible? Because like, which God are you talking about? Because like, God in the Bible is not love. Like, that's a real douchebag. Like, well, I had to do the things that he did. Like, let's talk about the flood. And from a scientific standpoint, flood never fucking happened. But let's assume that the flood happened. And your God murdered everyone on the fucking planet except for this one dude and his family and a couple animals. What's the justification in that? And then it's just like, oh, well, God's perfect, and everything God does is perfect, and you're not enlightened enough to judge God and all this other horseshit. And I'm like, dude, I understand ethics, and let me tell you, I don't agree one bit in any way, shape, or form with the KKK, but you don't see me going out here and fucking murdering them in the fucking street. Like, I understand what ethics are, and regardless of how fucking wrong they are, I still understand that. Hey, I'm not obliged to murder these people. Like, that's not the answer. And then okay, your God can do anything, right? Yeah, he can do anything. Okay, why do you have to do it with a flood? Oh, he was trying to teach people a lesson. Dude, there was only like fucking 8 people left after the fucking flood, man. That lesson could have been taught way fucking easier. Like, without so much suffering. Drowning is a motherfucker of a way to die. Like, this is a terrible way to fucking die. And we're talking women, children, not just all the dudes that were out doing whatever, pissing guys, like women, children, infants, pregnant women, like all those fuckers are dead too. And they're all drowned to death. Horrible fucking way to die. But yet your God is perfect, and your God is love. Like, no, that doesn't work. Like, it's just, I'm sorry. Either your God doesn't understand ethics to at least a this tiny degree that my little human feeble mind can understand it, or your God's a douchebag. Your God's like Hitler, and I don't want no part of that. I don't know. You seem a little anxious. What do you got, Tony?
No, I was about to say, I say this all the time when it comes to the flood. These are the same individuals who say that, well, God did it because man was corrupted. And first of all, I don't believe that at all. Secondly, even if that was true, it doesn't change the fact that your God would have to still kill women and children and even men who probably had nothing to do with the corruption of men. He had to kill innocent people who most likely had nothing to do with the corruption of man. Period. It just freaking blows my mind. And by the way, this is something I always bring up. You expect me to believe that Noah was the only one in that time that had a freaking boat? You're telling me no one else in the world had a boat? Really? That's just another unbelievable thing about that myth.
Well, it's wonderful that Ken Ham's dumbass went ahead and fucking tried to reconstruct the ark, and oh my god, what a fucking clusterfuck that was. But yeah, like there's been structural engineers and stuff, and they're just like, look, if this boat wasn't fucking moored to the ground by concrete, this thing would fall the fuck apart. And we've had engineers, design experts, naval design experts, and it's just like, look, this boat would never, based on the supposed design schemes given in the Bible, this boat would never last even a day in the ocean. Never. It would be fucking just twisted apart and fucking rent in two by the waves of the ocean.
Wouldn't even last an hour.
Yeah. Like, there's no way that from a physiological standpoint, from an engineering standpoint, like, that's a catastrophe waiting to happen. Like, even the designers of the Titanic would have been like, yeah, no, we're not building that. We'll build this other thing, but
so just keep in mind, I think the biggest boat, like in real life, that was ever built was like half that. It was built by experts during that time, and it still fucking crashed. And you expect me to believe that a man who had no carpenter skills whatsoever managed to build a boat that big and it didn't crash? Really?
Well, apparently the angels came down and helped him build him. Or maybe it was Nephilim. It depends on whether you're Catholic or whether you're Protestant as to whether it was Nephilims or angels. A little bit of a discrepancy there into what those two things are. I won't go all theological on folks here. But having studied both sides of the argument, to come from a Protestant background and then studied Catholicism, like I love those little bits of discrepancy there. That's just like, can't you guys get your story straight? Like, just get together and figure out what the fuck you wanted me to believe, so that I can laugh at it all as one instead of laughing at them individually. But no, it's just, it's an asinine proposition. You know that this boat could have been built, and this is why science trumps superstition, and it trumps philosophy. You know, because we can, you know, we have science that can go back and say, we need to know the biggest wooden vessel ever built, you know, that we know of was. And then we go to the archaeologists and we go, hey man, find us a fucking boat and tell us, you know, what was up with that. And then the archaeologists go out and they're like, okay, we found this fucking boat. And here's the deal. And this is what happened to it. And I'm like, huh. And then we ask engineers, hey man, could you build this boat from this book? And let's see what happens to it. And they'll build scale models. And they go, okay, this is what happens to it. And they put it in a little fucking, you know, build a little scale model or build a computer rendering of it. And they're like, well, this is what happens. And it's like, holy shit, that's bad. That's terrible. Like, what if we filled it with animals? Like, don't do that. Dude, that's a lot of dead animals. Like, don't put
No.
anything in this boat. That's horrible. I was like, what's your purpose here? That's fucking terrible. Don't do that. And we already showed you this thing does not float. You know, and it's just it's little things like that, you know, and it's just it comes to the point where you have to go, okay, I get that you feel like you need something more for your life to have purpose. I get that. Like, I know a lot of people out there is just like, I could let go of all of it, but like I need God for some reason, you know, to feel fulfilled. And I get that, but I just, my argument is always like, you don't need that particular God. Whatever that particular God is, I don't care if you're Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Jew, I don't care which one of those you are, but you don't need that God. Like, if you need a God, how about Spinoza's God? Like, Spinoza's idea of God, like, that's more something I can go, okay, does he care about your genitals? No. Or what you do with them? No. So what is God? Well, it's just kind of the universe, and everything's just kind of interconnected, and it's just this sort of power and spirit. Like, okay, but it doesn't care about my genitals or what I'm doing with them, and like, it's not telling you all kinds of crazy shit to hurt other people, right? Like, no, it doesn't work that way. Oh, like, okay, you can have that. Like, that's fine. If you need a God, like that's okay. Be a deist. Take Spinoza's idea, you know, use it, you know, to feel something for yourself. But all these bullshit gods from religion, man, you don't need those. Like, those are terrible. And like, you have to do so much mental gymnastics to still go, God is love. Like, no. I've read the Bible, I've read the Quran. Even in Hinduism, and we're talking about like 30 million gods in Hinduism, from lesser gods to higher gods. Dealing with some of the main ones, like Shiva is the destroyer. Shiva's actually like Satan, but people worship Shiva as, you know, because that's one of the major deities. So people worship Shiva. And Ganesh is like, they're all kind of douchebags when they want to be, and then like other times they're like, oh no, we're kind of nice, but then most of the time we're douchebags. Like the Norse gods, the Greek gods, the Roman gods, they were all like that. Like, we can be cool when we want to, but we're assholes because we can be. Like, that's terrible, you know. I don't know, but that's why we need science. You know, that's that's why it has to trump all these other things, especially superstition.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the deist position because I believe I've told you this before. I actually used to be a deist before I was an atheist, and I used to, not a lot, but I did used to defend that belief. I did used to believe in theistic evolution, and as far as God's role, I believe that the only thing he did was keep the laws of the universe in check. I believed he kept the laws of physics in check. That's all I think he did. I didn't think for a second that he cared about where to stick my genitals, or I didn't believe in sin. I didn't believe in any of that fucking superstitious garbage. But then I realized at 16 that, you know what, even from the deist position, I still saw no evidence, so I just went with it.
You know, I think even from a deistic evolutionary standpoint, if you want to say that there's some sort of being that, you know, knocked everything into creation, like you agree that the Big Bang is how the universe started, and you know you understand planetary accretion, how nebulas work, and you know how stars are born and all that stuff. And you're like, yeah, and then you know evolution, you know, uh, from a physiological standpoint, you understand these things, but you're just like, hey, you know, we get to this certain point and there's just sort of a roadblock there, and I think that's where God just flicked it all into being. From that standpoint, you almost kind of feel like it seems like to me that that's more like this sort of scientist God that just sort of exists in a different dimension. And he did this little experiment that kicked off a universe, and then he was like, oh, well, let me sit back and just take notes, you know, and watch the experiment unfold and see what happens. And you have to feel like that God is, it's certainly not worthy of admiration or anything. Like admiration to the point that you would maybe give a scientist that, excuse me, that that grows an organism in a petri dish. You know, you'd say, wow, that's an accomplishment. Like that's pretty cool. But like to the point of worship, I don't see that. I don't see that as being worthy of worship, because um, it's unfeeling. You know, it's impersonal, and so it seems unnecessary. Like even if it does exist, so what? You know, what does that mean for us as human beings? And it seems like that's still meaningless. It still has no real value uh, in the human experience and to human beings as a whole. So I don't see where it's of use, you know, to hold to that position. And I think that's probably pretty much what you came to at 16. You know, it's just like, look, even if that's a realistic thing, it's useless. It's meaningless. Like it has no bearing on my life, on the lives of other human beings, on any sort of afterlife or anything like that. Like it's meaningless. So it's pointless. So for me personally, that's you know, that's kind of what I came to. It's like, what am I holding on to? You know, you stray so far out of, for those of us raised in religion, like I was. You know, I was raised in a very fundamentalist Christian household. My grandfather's a preacher, you know, so it was very, you know, ingrained in me. And as time went on, there's just certain things that I had to make adjustments for. You know, um, I couldn't justify my worldview because my worldview changed with experience. You know, the more I experienced the world around me, the more I experienced other people, the plight of my fellow man, and these sorts of things, that the more I came to understand that I couldn't justify some of the ideas that I had been taught to hold on to or taught were right. And so, you know, you do so much mental gymnastics, and at some point you just go, look, man, I'm tired of holding on to this bar and doing these little fucking circles around this bar, and I just want to let go, dismount, and fucking be done with it. Like, give me my score, whatever it is, 0 or 10. Let me walk the fuck out of here because this is tiring. I think that's where a lot of people are just, that's where a lot of us get to, you know, and a lot of us just are, a lot more people are getting to that point every day. A lot more people are just like, you know, you can't be an island unto yourself anymore. Like there was a time where you didn't have to understand the experiences of other people. Like I didn't have to understand or care about the plight of starving children in Africa. That wasn't a thing. I might see something in a newspaper where some correspondent had done something if I had lived in the 50s or 30s. Um, in this day and age, when I pick up my cell phone and I open up Facebook, I am bombarded with an entire world of other human beings. I'm bombarded with 7.2 billion people on this planet, all in different circumstances, all of them with different experiences. And you get to the point where you can't justify certain ideas anymore if you're going to be a decent human being. Like it's sort of that thing. Do you want to be a piece of shit and live in an island on yourself, or do you want to be a decent human being and accept that the world is kind of fucked up for a lot of fucking people, and your personal experiences and viewpoint is not the be all end all of what this world is? And I think that's something that we're seeing a lot with the millennial generation, along with scientific knowledge being so readily available to people. There was a point when I was a kid before cell phones. I'm fixing to be 36 years old, so for about the first 15 years of my life, cell phones weren't really a thing. Certainly not smartphones. That wasn't really something that I grew up with. Like I've grown into it. Um, so there was a point in my life where someone could ask you a question, and the only honest answer you could give is, "I don't know," or you could be a lying piece of shit and make some shit up. Like those were your two options. In this day and age, when someone asks you a question and you don't know, you go, "Hold on, man, let me Google that." And you have the answer. Like it's right there at the tip of your fucking finger. Hold on, let me Google it, and I'll let you know. And this contributes to people being more scientifically literate, but it also contributes to people being fucking insane, because people really have this knack for confirmation bias. And so when you Google something, you Google it in hopes that it's going to confirm what you fucking already, your preconceived notions. And then when the first 10 fucking search items don't, you keep scrolling and you click next and you go to the page and the page and the page, and then you go, oh, there's one that confirms what the fuck I was thinking. And so you go, see, here's that thing that confirms what I was already fucking thinking and wanted to fucking show you to prove I'm right. And so we have a lot of dumbasses out there, and that agrees with them, that were probably written by other dumbasses who were just looking to make sure that somebody else had something to back up the dumb shit they were saying. I don't know, man. I think we're getting to an age in human existence where people have the opportunity to be as intelligent and knowledgeable as they want, and a lot of people are fucking lazy, and so they as intelligent or as knowledgeable as they should be, and people are fickle, and they just want things to confirm how they already feel and to make them feel good. They want their feelies. So they overlook a lot of things, and I think that's what people like, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Carl Sagan before him, and even Bill Nye. That's what they want to change. They want to change people for the better and say, hey, learn some shit, like learn some real shit, and find the facts and the evidence to back up that real shit. Be an intelligent person. Have an intelligent, informed opinion about things. It's okay to have an opinion, but make sure you can back it up, man. And then you can have whatever opinion you want, and make sure that when you back it up, it's from a reliable source, and it's something that you can go, well, here's 62 independent studies, and they all confirm this opinion that I also hold to. And if you go, oh well, here's Alex Jones and his conspiracy theory group, and they're confirming that fucking this, that, or the other, you're kind of being a douchebag, man. Like, you're not really searching for anything meaningful or tangible or realistic, and it's kind of a dick move, like, because you're making other people stupider. Because a lot of people just, they're not going to go out and check. How many times a day does somebody share something on Facebook that crosses your news feed, and you're like, wow, motherfucker, I wish you would research that before you shared that horse shit? How many times that happened to you a day, Tony?
Oh, man. I don't know how many times I had to comment on stuff and just, like, these fucking dumbass, like, Ray Comfort style memes. Like, I don't know if you remember Kirk Cameron's joke about evolution, about the fucking crocoduck. Someone actually shared that, and then under it said, "This is what atheists believe in." I'm like, wow, okay, you clearly didn't do your fucking homework or taken a biology course in your whole fucking life. And I usually just, you know what, scroll. I ain't got time for that.
No,
it's not even just on Facebook. I see it on Google Plus too.
See, I loved the crocoduck thing from Kirk Cameron. I tried to address him because he hangs out on some of Ray Comfort's bullshit, and so I tried to address that argument before finally just getting banned from Ray Comfort's page, his websites, pretty much everything Ray Comfort does. Like, I'm not allowed there. I guess I could make other accounts and still creep my way in there, but that seems pretty trollish. And I'm not. But I tried to explain to some of these people. I'm like, look, yes, a crocodile could evolve into a duck-like creature. The thing is, if that happens, a crocodile has not become a duck. A crocodile has become another type of animal, which resembles what we call a duck now. But yes, that could potentially, through the evolutionary course of time, happen. It would take a long time to do, but it could happen. And they're like, no, that can't fucking happen. I'm like, really? You ever heard of a fucking salamander? That used to be a fish, right? Like, we actually watched salamanders evolve. Like, we've seen that happen in the course of the last fucking 300 years. Like, we watched them actually ocean and lakes onto fucking land, grow legs. We're watching other fish right now grow legs and start fucking growing lungs so that they can breathe air and walk out of the fucking oceans. And like we're watching that happen. It's literally fucking happening right before our fucking eyes. They're like, well, there's no evidence of evolution actually happening. Like, yeah, there is. There's fucking tons of it. Like, all kinds of it. Oh, well, that's not actually a change in species. Well, yeah.
It kind of is.
It is. So, I'll let you offer a final thought, and then I'll offer a little something to wrap it up, and we'll get out of here.
Well, my final thought is very short, seeing as it's about mostly, since we did talk about intelligent design tonight, all I'm going to say is, if anyone out there thinks that intelligent design is science, it's fucking not. It never has been. It's never going to be. I don't care what scientists tell you otherwise. It's not fucking science. It's nothing more than a glorified hypothesis. And if you have any questions, you should probably talk to a biologist, not someone like me. And, science is always going to be the standard, and religion is always going to be below it. And I think, as to what Casper said earlier, the facts of reality and science does not give a flying fuck about your feelings. You can feel whatever you want, but your feelings do not override facts of reality or facts of science. And in conclusion, as I always say, if you like what you saw tonight, please subscribe to this awesome channel as well as my awesome channel, the Atheist Ranger. Go ahead, buddy.
All right, folks. So here's the deal. Just as the title says, science trumps superstition, and science trumps philosophy. Always. It's not even a matter of discussion. If science says something is wrong, and it can demonstrably prove that through evidence or factual data, then that thing is wrong. No matter what you fucking feel about it, no matter what some 2,000-year-old book says about it, or any other book for that matter. So when you want to tell homosexual people that they're sinners and they're terrible people and that they need to go through deconversion therapy and that Jesus can fucking save them and turn them on gay and shit, you're an idiot. Science has trumped you. Science has said, no, that's some bullshit. Like, the vast majority of people who identify as homosexuals, they have some slightly different wiring in their brain that says the body they're in does not correspond with their emotional connection to a specific gender. That's what science says. And so regardless of what you fucking feel about it, and regardless of what your little fucking book says, you're wrong. You're just fucking wrong, and you can't argue with science. You can argue with science, but you have to argue science with other science. You have to give science to dispute the science that is offering a standard. Okay? The same goes with fucking creationists. The Bible does not explain creation or life on this planet or life in this universe. The Bible is not a fucking science document. In fact, no scientific knowledge has ever actually come from the Bible. There's no scientific facts in there. And so when science says, hey, this is fucking wrong, it's wrong. No matter what your fucking book says. I know Ken Ham will tell you, well, first you have to believe in the Bible, and then everything else makes sense. That's called confirmation bias, people. If you have to believe the Bible first, and then ignore everything that fucking contradicts it, and then only pick up little bits and pieces that seem like they can be twisted to confirm it, then you're wrong. You're just fucking wrong. We need science, people. If our species is going to advance any further than we are right now, we need science. We don't need superstition. We don't need more fucking ghost hunter shows because it's fucking ridiculous. I can only watch so much of guys walking around with fucking infrared cameras pissing their pants whenever a fucking moth hits the goddamn glass in the window. I can only watch so much of that without it just becoming fucking insanity. Okay? As much as I love the show for entertainment value, we don't need more ancient alien shit. Yes, that's more superstitious craziness. Sorry, but yeah. No. It can be amusing, but no. We don't need more Bigfoot hunters. We don't need more religious sects. We don't need any more of that shit. We need people figuring out how the fuck we can get off this planet before our sun either explodes or just fucking dies and this planet no longer supports life. If we want human beings to exist in the long unforeseeable future, that's what we need. We need people working on shit like that. I need somebody to figure out how to download my consciousness into a fucking hard drive and allow me to be put into an android and shot into a long-term space probe and shot out into space to go find other life in the universe. Like that's what I need people to do. If you want to live forever, or you want to have some ultra long longevity, that's what you need people working on. Not people sitting around praying to an imaginary fucking wizard in another dimension. It's crazy shit. Like we've had enough. It's just enough, man. Let it go. So, as always, the viewpoints and ideas that we've discussed here, not necessarily viewpoints and ideas of all members of Atheist Republic. We have a huge team, a little over 300 people. Well, huge for us in our little nonprofit. Not huge. But we can't speak for everybody. So, if you disagree with us, if you don't like something we said, please post it in the comments below on our YouTube page or on this Google Plus presentation, or go to the Devils and Gods Country on Facebook. Pretty easy to find. It's a pretty unique name. And you can just send me a message, send either one of us a message if you want to talk to somebody specifically or rant at us. That's cool. If you enjoy the Atheist Republic organization, the things that Atheist Republic does on their Facebook page, on their website, and the other projects we have going on, we would love to have you support us in some way, shape, or form. If you want to join the team, if you want to contribute to the team, please visit atheistrepublic.com, volunteer, and you can volunteer with us in any number of capacities. I have to make a special mention now. The Atheist Republic organization is dealing with some financial troubles. It's been a real struggle to keep the organization afloat and to pay the few people that we do actually have to pay for the things that we do. Anybody out there that loves what we do at Atheist Republic and is able and willing to contribute to our organization, we would greatly appreciate it. We would love to continue trying to build a strong atheist community, and it's just been very difficult lately to keep everything going and stay afloat. So visit atheistrepublic.com and you can find out about how to help us out or how to join the team or anything like that. We will be back again 1 week from today, next Monday at 9 p.m. That's the new time, 9 o'clock Central Time. Same channel. And yeah, I think that's it. Okay. So this has been another episode of the Devils and Gods Country. I hope to see some of y'all back next week. Y'all have a good night.